Hi, I'm going to share with you a brief video on how to increase your Procard limits. First thing you're going to do, start with going to Workday. So I always start with one.woostel.edu and then log in there with my Woostel key and password and go to your Workday login, which will bring you to your home page here. Now, in order to get to the spot to do this, you'll have to go to the search bar and you're going to type in create request. And that'll bring up this list of options here. And you do this first one here, create request, the task. And then from this drop down list, you might have a different drop down based on my security and accounting area. I have several options here. You'll have a few, and one of them will be this card limit change. So you select that, and then click OK. And now, of course, you're going to have a required field here with the red asterisk. So you just have to describe the request. Need to increase Procard limits to handle an oversized purchase of, whatever it is, supplies or flight or whatever it might be. So just a description of why you need it. So, of course, your requester name, you're going to put in your own name here, cardholder name, your own name here, new monthly limit request, and then new single limit request. So I want to describe to you the difference between these two. So typically your standard monthly and single limit requests, this is usually $5,000 per month, and this is usually $1,500 as a single limit. And the difference here, if it's not clear, it can sometimes be confusing. This just says how much you're allowed to spend in a single month across multiple transactions or on a single transaction, doesn't matter. This is just your total monthly limit. This is for each individual transaction, you are maxed out at a certain dollar amount. And so if you're normally maxed out at $1,500 and you've got a $2,000 airfare to fly or to purchase, then you'll need to increase this. If you've already made several purchases of smaller amounts and you feel like maybe I've already put $3,000 or $4,000 on my credit card for the limit, or my Procard for the limit for this month, and you think you might go over your month limit of $5,000, then it probably makes sense to increase this as well. So what you're going to do in these two blanks here is, if you don't need to increase your monthly limit, then you'll just increase the single limit. That's fine. If you need to increase both, then you'll enter values in both of these fields. But what you're going to do here is you're actually going to list the new limit, not what you want added to your limit, right? So new monthly limit, say, for example, you could make this 7,500 up from your normal 5,000. And then your new single limit request, instead of 1,500, you want to make it 2,500. Now, even if you think the airfare is only going to cost you like a little over 2,000, just make that single limit request 2,500 in case there's additional fees, or there might be international transaction fees. You never know. So just go a little above, give yourself a little padding there to make sure you don't have to put in the exact dollar amount of what you have for your quote for your airfare. You don't want anything to snag and to keep the transaction going through. So you could do that. And then it does also say here, expiration date for monthly limit. So this is the required date here. If you are changing your monthly limit, you should be putting the 20th of the next month. So usually what I recommend is if you're about 2 weeks out from the 20th, then you can just put the 20th of that month. For example, if it was, July 1st right now, I could put July 20th, right? But if it was July 15th, July 20th might not be far enough ahead. Even if I make the transaction today, sometimes there's some delays in how quickly the vendor actually charges the card, and you don't want this to catch it out and end up having your transaction rejected after the fact just because it didn't get put in within the right amount of days. And if the weekends, business days, holidays, there's lots of things that can kind of interact with that and cause problems. So I say, as a recommendation, if you're about 2 weeks out from the 20th, you can just list the 20th of that month. If you're within 2 weeks of the 20th, then just put the 20th of the next month. So if this was, say, July 10th, then I could just put August 20th. So it has to be the 20th of a month. And again, the next one, or the current one or the next one, is what that should be. You should not be doing this for like 3 or 4 or 5 months. It should be the current month or the next month. You do not need to set an expiration date for the single limit. This will automatically revert back to your 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 default, your $1,500 at the end of the sweep period for the Pro cards. And that's it. If you want to add a comment that you didn't end up getting listed up here, you can add a comment, but it's not required. You also don't need to, you're not required to put any attachments in here to say, see, here's the transaction I want to do. This is just kind of some default stuff that Workday provides. You can add things there if you want, but it's not required. Then you click submit, and that routes to us in the business office. And then after we approve it, it routes to the Procard office for their approval as well. I will say, as a recommendation, if you need this to be done fairly quickly, usually when this happens, people are trying to make a charge and they need it to go through that day. Just send us an email or give us a call in the office to say, hey, I've requested this. This is going to route to us in our regular work stream where we process all of our documents, expense reports, and invoices and POs and things like that. So it's just going to show up as a new task for us to review. If you wanted to get this done right away, contact us after you submit this and say, hey, I just submitted this, please go look for it and approve it. And then we'll go out there, we'll find it, and we'll route it through. And then once we submit it, once we approve it, we will contact the Procard office and let them know, hey, this is just, we just sent this through to you, please get this approved right away. Usually we can get a Procard increase done within about an hour or so, depending on if people are at their desk, out to lunch, things like that. Usually with the same day, we should be able to get your Procard limit increased. So you hit that submit, goes through the approval process. Once it's done, you should get a notification in Workday. I'm just going to cancel out of this since it's just an example. You would get that notification up here in the notifications area to let you know that your Procard increase had been approved. So that's it. Thanks very much.